Alright, good afternoon, good morning, good evening, everybody. So, this is going to be episode 3, current state of Star Trek. So, a little background, I'm a huge Star Trek fan, even though I've not seen every series. I grew up watching the original series. When I was a kid, my mom used to tell us we could go to bed at 7 o'clock, or we could stay up until 8 o'clock to watch Star Trek with her. So obviously as a child, you would stay up an extra hour and watch television. So I got to know the original series pretty well. And I enjoyed that. And then all together as a family with myself, my sister, and my parents, we would watch the syndicated Star Trek Next Generation on Saturday nights. We watched Voyager, we watched Deep Space Nine, so all the original classic Star Trek shows we all watched, and we all really enjoyed, the way it was, the way the Star Trek was more cerebral. I remember going to see First Contact in the theater and all the other ones. So it's definitely something that I grew up with, and I've loved Star Trek. And again, I've been watching a lot of the new Trek. The few series I've not watched, I did not really watch Prodigy, and I have not watched Starfleet Academy. They're just not shows that really interest me, mainly because Prodigy, it seems like a kid's show, and the Starfleet Academy, because it's an offshoot of the end of Discovery, which I was not a fan of how Discovery ended. So I just really don't like that whole timeline. I will say, though, I did like Discovery for the first few seasons, but towards the end I was not a fan of it. I understand why they had to do it, storyline-wise, but I just, at the end of the day, was not a huge fan of Discovery in the last couple seasons. I watched it, but not my favorite. So, obviously for Star Trek, and then we have to discuss the Chris Pine, Abrams versus Star Trek, and I'm hit or miss on those. I have friends that will say they hate it because it's too bang bang shoot 'em up. And I can understand that, and I see a lot of that idea came in back with Picard, and it kind of tainted what Gene Roddenberry originally wanted for the series. But it's what they thought would sell, because cerebral science fiction shows just don't do well anymore, whereas action-adventure ones like Star Wars does. So I understand. Doesn't mean that I'm 100% in agreement. If I want the bang bang shoot 'em up, I'll watch Star Wars. If I want to actually have good storytelling, not to say Star Wars is not a storytelling, I don't want anyone to rage at me. I'm a huge Star Wars fan as well, but Star Trek has always been more cerebral, and it's like comfort food to me. But I understand why they did. So with the new Trek, so I've watched, with the new Trek, I have watched Discovery, I have watched Picard, I have watched Lower Decks, and Strange New Worlds. I will say that Picard really disappointed me with the way they did the storytelling. The last season was okay. Not as good as it just didn't feel like Patrick Stewart didn't feel like Captain Picard anymore. Nice car show. Nice. Patrick Stewart just didn't feel like Captain Picard to me anymore. I don't know if it was his age, whether it was just a different tone of his acting. It didn't feel the same. So Picard again was, I think that Lower Decks was actually a better follow-up to the whole 24th century Star Trek series, is like Next Gen, DS9, Voyager. If you have not watched Lower Decks, I highly recommend it. A lot of people wrote it off as a humor, but I like the fact that they incorporated humor, the original Star Trek ideas in it, as well as some of the action that people want. And honestly, I was very upset when they canceled it because I thought that the series was very, very good. I loved a lot of the cameos. I think that a lot of the people that normally wouldn't be able to come back because they're too old were able to come back at Lower Decks, because then you're just a voice as opposed to they can be animated. And if you ever watched the Lower Decks crossover with Strange New Worlds, that was awesome as well. I really, really enjoyed that. So yeah, Lower Decks definitely gets a thumbs up for me for the new Trek. And going back to Discovery, the first few seasons I really liked. I liked the idea of it. I think when they got Captain Pike in there, I liked it. I wasn't a huge fan of the Klingons and their designs. It just felt off to me. So, but basically when Discovery became the Strange New Worlds prequel with Captain Pike, I really liked those series. The season after that I really liked. The first season where they kind of went in the future was actually really, really good as well. But after that, I just was not a fan. I didn't really like. I think the last good season, in my opinion, was the one where they had the intelligent supercomputer. It slips my mind as to what it was, where we thought it might be the actual creation of the Borg, but it ended up just being. I even forget what it was, but. The problem with Discovery for me, though, was also you had this bridge crew, and you never got to know them. They were nothing more than red shirts, but here they were supposed to be part of the bridge crew. They're supposed to be the people that you're supposed to care about, and end up being the Michael Burnham show. And again, there's no crying in Starfleet. I'm sorry. The fact is that Michael Burnham cried way too much. As a captain, that's just not... I mean, as a captain, you're not supposed to show that much emotion. But the fact that she was raised on Vulcan, it didn't sit well with me, and I know that is I know there's a lot of Star Trek fans out there that believe me with that, and had a lot of problems with that, and that was one of the issues that I had. So, yeah, Discovery, good and bad, depending on, which season, and I can go either way. But we're going up on Strange New Worlds. Now, as I'm recording this, Strange New Worlds just premiered its 4th season, and I'm really sad that they have announced it's going to be going after the 5th season, because I really enjoyed Strange New Worlds. I think it went back to the original idea of what Gene Roddenberry wanted with Star Trek. They had some good episodic episodes. They had some good one-offs. The singing one... like I said, I also enjoyed the crossover with Strange New World, or not Strange New World, the crossover with Lower Decks. It was really cool seeing the voice actors of Mariner and Boimler play themselves in real life. I really like that, so I guess it's a good idea. They pretty much animated them the way that their voice actors looked. So it worked well for that episode. But the new season of Strange New Worlds, I'm very excited. There's actually one that's actually on tonight, so I'm going to have to watch that when I get home. And, I think that it's slowly bringing on the OG cast. The story is really good. There's a few things that I could maybe modify a little bit. I'm not a huge fan of, again, like the singing episodes, but I understand why they did it. And obviously they did the one where they got overtaken with the medieval episode and everything like that, but they've always done episodes like that in Star Trek, especially with the holodeck, so I can't fault them for that. And I'm very interested to see where Paramount's going to go with Star Trek after this, because I know they were thinking about making either another reboot or another Chris Pike movie, but I think that got canceled. But who knows with the television stuff, if they're trying to go movies, if they're trying to go more TV. I mean, obviously, if the ratings are not what they want for the television shows, are not going to continue it, no matter how good they are, because at the end of the day, it's all about ratings, right? And if you can't have good ratings, then they're not going to pay for these exorbitant actors' costs and everything like that. Oh, and just thinking back, I did not see this. However, I heard the Section 31 movie was atrocious. I have not watched that, but from everything that I've read and heard about, that is another reason why people are not liking Star Trek, because they just ruined that whole idea that Michelle Yeoh had, and I think she only did it because she was contractually obligated to. Because remember, after she finished with Giorgio, Philip Giorgio, she became an Oscar-winning actress for Everything All at Once, Everything Everywhere All at Once. So maybe she was too good for your Star Trek stuff. You know, which is fine. I mean, Jennifer Lawrence did this kind of the same thing for a while with the X-Men when she started breaking out roles after being Mystique. So I can understand, again, actors, desires to go on different roles, even though their breakout role and what is something that's a television role. But let me know what you think in the comments. If you're a Star Trek fan, what's your favorite series? For me, the Next Gen will always be my comfort food. I can turn that on and just watch the majority of those episodes without an issue, and just kind of relive my youth, and it's nostalgia for me as well. So, I love those. I also, the DS9 obviously was an amazing series. But again, with the new Trek, seriously, if you have not checked out Lower Decks, check it out. And if you have not checked out Strange New Worlds, I would highly recommend it. They are both worthy of your time and viewing. Even if you have issues with new Trek, I think both those series just are entertaining, and they have enough of the original idea of Star Trek in them for modern audiences to make them actually a really good watch. But yeah, let me know in the comments what you think. I would always love to have discussions with other people on this kind of stuff. Again, I'm a nerd, and some of the best discussions I've ever had is just discussing over favorite Star Trek episodes or Star Trek series, or I'm not to the point where I know where every Jeffrey Tubes is, but I will definitely discuss with anybody about Star Trek, because I do love it. Actually, my brother-in-law and his dad go on the Star Trek cruise every year, so I like to have discussions with that. And then obviously we can, sort of like the Orville, which I plan on doing an episode of the Orville as well, because I think that was an amazing show, and it had a lot of the spirit of the Next Gen on there. So, but yeah, let me know in the comments. Like and share this video if it's nice. I'm trying to get this channel off the ground, so I'd appreciate any feedback you guys got for this. Again, I'm trying to just do it simple, just vlogging with nothing special, just my motorcycle, a GoPro, a microphone, and also my WRX. So you're gonna get both of those in here. But yeah, all right, guys, have a good day, and I will talk to you later.